Everyone, how's everybody doing this morning? Well, let's start off by giving yourselves a round of applause. Those faithful ones that's here on time. Because as they say, half the battle is showing up. You know, you can have all of the best information and the best opportunities, but if people don't show up to receive it, they miss out and they wonder why. Somebody once told me years ago that, you know, people live the lives that they live because of the choices that they make, you know, the decisions that they make. You know, so you guys made a good choice and decision this morning, so I just want to, you know, commend you for doing so. So our first trainer that we have coming up is a good, strong leader. You know, somebody that I've been observing for years and see that he has all the potential and the characteristics of being a good leader. And I'm glad to see that he's coming to his calling, and that is to be a leader out front. You know, so he's embracing that calling. And so that's what it takes in order to move to the next level. So as I've always shared that when I first started in the business, that I didn't feel comfortable with standing in front of people. But if I wanted to get the success that I saw the leaders in the company achieving, then I had to be willing to step out front. And by doing so, I think it made me a more well-rounded individual. You know, so therefore, it's always, I've seen this business as an opportunity to develop those skills and those gifts and talents that we all have within ourselves. And so we can't allow fear to cripple us, to rob us of our true potential. And so to me, this is nothing but a stepping stone to take you to the next level. So we're looking for more leaders to emerge from the pack, you know, so the ones that's in this room right now, identify you guys as leaders. You know, you're faithful, you're committed, and I appreciate that. I know Paulie appreciates that. And again, the mission and the goal of this company is to take people from where they're at to where they truly want to be alive. And in doing so, we have to be willing to do things differently. You know, so I know it's difficult at times to, you know, make that consistent commitment, but we find a way to do the things that we're really passionate about, the things that we're committed to. You know, we look at it, this is my commitment, and then we begin to form the rest of our lives around what we're committed to. And again, you know, we'll find time to do the things that we want to do. You know, so when we come across those people to say, well, I just don't have time, then in your mind, you can tell yourself that I know that's not true. Because again, we find time to do the things that we're passionate about. And so we have a leader in the company, senior director at a growing organization. I know he's out there in the field, you know, presenting and talking to people. And I overheard a conversation this morning in terms of when you go somewhere and people don't show up, but that's just part of it. You know, to me, it's like sowing the seed, you know, because the moment you say, well, I'm not going to do it because I know they're not going to show up, maybe that one individual that you're looking for that can spark and grow your organization. So again, we just continue to sow the seed, and then we continue to water it, and then we look for God to increase it. So I want you all to, you know, welcome to the floor, Brother Jason Lee. Thank you, thank you. Listen for the hand claps. How's everybody doing today? Excellent. Good, good. Today, again, I'm always excited to be here because I know I'm building my dream. And I say that because that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm building what it is that I want out of life. That's what my dreams are. So we're going to talk about today how to start a movement. There's all kinds of movements that have started in life. You've had riots and just a bunch of different movements, but whether it's a movement in a positive way or whether it's a movement in a negative way, basically it all starts the same. And so to start a movement, it says to start a movement, you first must be moving yourself. What measurable action have you logged this week in your JFG business? And that's what we want to do. We want to start a movement in our companies. In JMG, once you get going and you start moving, things start popping up. You start looking into your back office. You look in there at night before you go to bed, and you see a few names in there. And then you look in there again in the morning, there's a few more names in there. You go to work that next day. By the time you get home, there's more names in there, and the thing just starts moving. And it becomes, looking into that back office becomes addictive. You know, it's like, oh, let me see what happened now. You know, but a movement starts. But you must first have to start moving yourself. And when they say, what measurable action have you logged in this week in your JMG business? So what have you done this week to make a difference? You have to keep moving. You have to keep going. One thing I used to do in the company, and they say you live and you learn. One thing I used to do is I'll sign a person up, and then I'll think like, okay, I got him. And then I'll stop working and I'll start paying attention to what he's doing. But that's wrong. You have to keep moving and keep moving at the same time, helping that person out with whatever he or she needs. Because the reason I say that you have to keep moving, is because just recently, I have signed up people that I met at events that we did earlier in the summer. And so, I'm just now, well, I spoke with them before, but it's just now coming to putting towards the action for them to actually do something. And so, whatever I've done this week, who knows when I'll see the fruits of that labor. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. If I do, great. If I don't, so what? I'm gonna keep on moving. We talked to Paulie says that a guy gave him a business card, said if you want to make some money, give me a call. Said Paulie didn't call that guy for I can't even remember how long. But it was a while before Paulie took that card out of his pocket and called that guy. So just keep moving. If you have been in the business for a while, what are you willing to change to spark new activity in your business? You've been in the business for a while. You need new activity in your business now. What are you willing to change from what you've been doing to something that's going to be more productive? Are you going to give it more time? Are you going to stay more dedicated to the conference calls and the meetings? Do you get in contact with your people more often? What are you willing to change to get new activity in your business? Some of the things that I had to do myself personally was I had to say, okay, I've taken on the commitment of doing this business full time. And I had to say to myself, I don't care if my shoe is tied or not, I've got to be out the door by 8 o'clock in the morning. I'll tie it in the car. I got to be out the door by 8 o'clock in the morning, every morning, Monday through Friday. And so that's some of the changes that I've made. And I make sure that I put in a full day's worth of work, because it's easy to go out there and not do nothing and then just say, you don't have nobody that's making you work. So it's easy to go out there and be like, you know what? I know my girl's at home right now. I'm just gonna go home and chill with her and just sit back for a little while. Then I'll get back up and go. No. If you had a 9 to 5, you couldn't do that. Lunch hour is not long enough to go home and chill. So you stay in the field, you stay and you stay out there working. Same difference for 9 to 5 and your 5 to 9. What are you willing to change? After you get off work, you're tired. You want to sit there, you want to relax for a minute, just sit on the couch, maybe catch the 5, 6 o'clock news. Are you willing to change that, to get up and get out right away? If we want to stop new problems from becoming old problems and old problems getting older, we really do need to spark movements that drive positive change. stop new problems from becoming old problems, and stop old problems from getting old. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. Is that right? I look at that and I say, okay, people go to work every day. They'll be on their job for 25, 30 years. And they're really not happy with where they're going financially. They're sustaining, they're keeping what I call it their head above water, but they're really not happy with where they're going. And they continue to do the same thing over and over again. And every time New Year's come up, they say, okay, they make their New Year's resolutions, and I'm gonna do this better. I'm gonna budget my money better. I'm gonna do the things that it takes for me to get ahead. 2 months go by and they fall into the same old financial tracks that they've been in. And they do that for 25, 30 years. And then they tell somebody who's trying to start a business to just go get a real job. To me, that's insanity. It's not insane to work a job, but it's insane to work that same job over and over again, but expect a different result. And so, old problems getting over. We really do need to spark a movement. We have to spark a movement that's going to drive positive change. You have to do something different. We always say in the company, to get something that you never had, you have to do something you've never done. We have to get up. We have to move. This is the power of movements. They can start out with just a small group of people who believe passionately in something, and they can end up changing the culture around the world. Like I said in the beginning, movements have started all throughout time. Some of them were good movements, some of them were bad movements. Some movements helped us, some movements set people back. But they all started the same way. They started with a person that had an idea, and he was passionate about it. He or she was passionate about that idea they had. That they got to talking, got in somebody else's ear, and got them to be in agreement. And then more came, and then more came. Next thing you know, they have a movement. It's the same thing. Take the opportunity with business bundle movement. We have two great products in one simple business. One simple business. That's the key word right there. Simple. One simple business. Home business. We have a financial part of our business, and we have Bodywork. My Financial Work and Bodywork are our two great products in our one simple business. And it just makes all the sense in the world. We say we are in the life business. And it makes so much sense to me because our business is relevant to all parts of life. Like we say all the time, if you don't pay your taxes, you're going to go to jail. If you don't eat, you're going to die. You know, those are some of the things that we have. So it's very relevant. Our business is a vehicle that can take you financially anywhere that it is you want to go. Not only that, as you're getting your financial situations right, of course, things are becoming better for you financially. Even just in the money that you have now, you're just getting that straightened out and budgeted correctly. And then you start eating better, life is better for you. Our business is just to create a better life. It's very, very simple. Two products in one simple business. A movement can begin with just one person. Are you that person? That's a question for yourself. For you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I that person that's going to be able to start a movement for my life, for what it is that I want? We have the complete package at $49.95 right now. $49.95 business bundle. You can't ask for more than that. That's wonderful right there. Had a lady the other night say, you know, well, I just had a major repair on my car and I can't do it right now, but I just want to think about it. And in my mind, I always ask. I don't ask it to them because I'm just not trying to step on people's toes, but what are you thinking about? You should be thinking about that bum car that you have that just drained your pockets and be trying to get out of that situation. I have given you an avenue to do that, and you say you want to think about it. You have a job that you've been working, but it still keeps you with this same car that's draining your pockets. Do something new. To get something that you don't have, you have to do something that you haven't done before. But we have the best package available, $49.95. Should be flying out the door. They put a shoe sale on, the shoes disappear off the rack for $100. $49.95 and get your life together. That's what it is. Take the opportunity with the business bundle movement and act now. We have to act now. That's big. Act now. I think it was last week that I had said that Paulie has always been a person that has kept up with, I call them just the signs of time. In 2005, 2006, somewhere in there, we started talking about how we were going to become in a recession. At that time, speak of the recession was not public. You were not hearing it on the news. You were not sitting at the table having dinner and hearing conversation about how bad things are economically. But that was information that I was getting from Paul Jones. Now, there's information that I'm getting from Paul Jones and talking about how things are just getting ready to get a little tougher. And some of the reasons are because of the election coming up. It's only 2013 right now. We're in the end of 2013. As we know, in 16, we're going to have the new election coming around. But they don't start 2 months before the election. They start closer to 2 years before the election, which is upon the time where that's the time that we're getting ready to go into right now. And so things are going to start getting a little tougher. And so you're hearing it now, just like I was hearing about the recession before, and just wait a little bit longer, you're going to start seeing it. I truly believe that. And that's the information that comes forth from Paul. So we need to act now so that whatever comes, we're not in those problems. We're eliminating ourselves out of that situation by the action that we take now. There's some things that I believe in the company that will help you, or not so much in the company, but believe in that will help you through with company. Things that Paulie has done and lives and walk by. Things that William Lockett has done and lived by. Kind of like when we go to church, they say you need to not only just go to church, but you need to live and walk the walk and talk the talk. And that's what it is truly. When we are out here working and doing what it is that it takes to make the company grow, we have to be passionate about it. We have to be thorough about it. William Lockett has just had a loved one that passed away, but still today he's here. Paul Jones had a loved one that had passed away. And prior to him going to the funeral, he still stayed in touch with business. It's his business. That's how we have to take things. We have to take things as our own. Why? Because it is. It's your business. It's not mine. I have mine. You have yours. We are business partners. You know, so it is yours. You have to take it. Take a look at the way that you're working in your business. And for those who have a job,
What if your boss ran his business, which is the job that you have, that you work for him? What if he ran his business the way that you run your business? Would you have a food on your table? Would you be able to make money to put in your car? You know, so you have to take your business and run your business as what it is. And what is it? It's yours. It's your way. It's your avenue. Because it's ours, and we have to take control of it. Control. I look at things like we are a team here. Like William Lockett got up here and said, you know, for those who continue, the consistent ones who continue to come, we are a team. And we have to work together. I told Fred one time that, hey, you know, we got to take control of things. We got to get up and really do it. We got to push whatever it is. I said, you know, our business do not have anything to do with each other because we are cross-line. But at the same time, if Fred sparks a movement, gets things going, that's going to help me too. Because now the word is going out. People are talking about J&G. People are talking about body work, about getting their credit repaired and everything. Now that just makes it easier for me to go out and talk to people that's already been hearing about it. They know about it. They've been hearing. They got the buzz in their ear because of what Fred's doing. It makes my job easier. We are a team. Paul's out doing all the work that he does. He's sparking a movement. He's moving first. As a team member, we need to go out and do what it is that we need to do. Because if he doesn't do what it takes to keep things going, then we wouldn't be here. And we wouldn't have the opportunity. We have the opportunity, so we have to take and move on. We have to continue to do our part in this movement. It's just like this year, I keep talking anyway, about we're on the 50-year mark of the March on Washington. Back then, people died for what it is, what they wanted to do. Today, we're free to do it. And people don't want to keep up with it. That movement started back then. Today, we take that movement, what looks like, for granted by the lack of things that we do. Paul Jones has started a movement. All we got to do is keep running with it and keep pushing with it and play our part in it all. I brought out a piece of something that I have picked up. A lot of people may not have seen this before. It's a Bulls jersey, number 12. So you look at that and you say, okay, what's number 12? Who's number 12? Michael Jordan was number 12. If you can't read it, and for those on the camera, it says Michael Jordan wore number 12 only one night, when his jersey number 23 was stolen in a trip to Orlando in 1990. I like to be different. So everybody else get a 23 jersey, I get the number 12 jersey. But that night, Michael Jordan went out and scored 49 points against Orlando. The team scored 129 points. So he scored over a third of the team's points. You talk about obstacles and things that you run into, things that when you're out working and doing what you're doing and try to knock you off your game, you can't let it. He could have said, man, I don't have my number on, without my number, I don't have my mojo, but no. He still went out and scored over a third of the team's points that night. Not having his jersey, having to find another jersey. If you read the article on it, he even tried to try on one of the people that, one of his followers anyway, one of his fans, jersey from out of the crowd, but it was too small. So all of this going on before the game, trying to find a jersey for him to put on to play in. Not only that, this jersey has the name on the back. The jersey that he ended up getting didn't even have a name on the back. So he was just simply number 12, but he still carried out his duties. You know, we're going to go out here, we're going to work, we're going to have people that stand us up. We're going to have people that say they're going to do things and they're not going to do them. We're going to have people that basically try to belittle you for what it is that you're doing. We're going to run into all kinds of things, all kinds of obstacles. But is that going to stop you? Are you going to let that stop you? You got to look back in that mirror again and say, am I that person? Am I that one that's going to spark a movement, that's going to bring about a change in my life? You know, because the obstacles are out there. You can pick anyone you want. We have a lesson that I heard before called, how much did that mistake cost you? No, what was it? How much did that excuse, how much did that excuse cost you? It could be any excuse. Maybe the other night that I talked about said she just had a major repair on her car. Okay, so what? You had a major repair on your car. You gonna let that stop you from moving further in the future? Any excuse to do it. You can go to a meeting and the person tell you, I would do this, but I gotta buy some new shoes for my dog. And since they have 4 feet, that means I gotta buy 2 pairs. Okay, so what? Any excuse to do. What is going to be your excuse? Is the question at the end of the day. You can't have one. You have to stay in touch with what your why is. Your why moves you. Your why is your reason. And when you start to slow down, you have to understand, is this worth my why? My why is my children, my family. It's where I want to go. It's what I want to be, what I want to do. My life is my why. So when a person tells me an excuse, am I going to let that stop me? Am I going to slow down there? Am I going to let that put a halt to my movement that I'm pushing for? You can't. You have to keep moving. It gets upsetting sometimes when we hear people come with these lame excuses and these ways of life that just isn't going anywhere. And we're trying to, especially when it's loved ones and people that you know and people that know you, and they come with that same stuff, then yeah, it gets upsetting, but you have to keep moving. You have to keep moving. I look at it like me as a child growing up. I'm sure, I know my mom and my dad loved me. I know because of all the stuff I did, and they kept on continuing to love me. But at the same time, did I frustrate them? I'm sure I did. Did it stop them from loving me or trying to raise me to be the best man I could possibly be? No, it doesn't. Because they were passionate about it. It was something that they believed in. They believed in the love that they had for their son. If you believe in your business, then treat it the same. You're not going to let nothing stop you, especially a mother, as they say. A mother will not let anything come between her and her children. If you have to look at it that way, do whatever you have to do. If you have to look at your business as your child, do that. If you have to look at your business as your man or your woman, if you're going to protect that, do that. Do whatever you have to do to get where we want to go, to achieve what it is that we can achieve. And let's do that. We have to create and stay in, I'm going to call it an awesome work ethic. We have a lot of other companies out there. We're just in the network marketing industry. We're a company in the network marketing industry. There's a bunch of companies in the industry out here. that you can name off. They all work. It's just whether are you going to work it. I'm in the network marketing industry because, for one, it creates more multimillionaires than any other industry out here. So if I want to make money, it just makes sense to me to be in that industry. The other reason that I'm in the network marketing industry is because I believe that it's the only industry that will truly pay you what you're truly worth. I look at my father, and my father has only had 2 jobs that I know of, and they've both been in truck driving. His first truck driving job that he got, he became, after years of being there, 50-50 owner with the company. The owner of the company fell on bad health, needed his #1 employee to step up and do a little bit more to help him keep going, and sold him half of the company. Upon him passing, his wife sold her half of the company, and my father sold his half along with her. And then he started opening up his own trucking company. Did that for a little while, and then he stopped in 2002, took a year off for himself. He fished, he hunted, did the things he liked to do. Then he started working again for a company named Cook, which he's still working for today. And now today, he's their #1 employee. So to me, that says a lot about my father. He puts everything that he has into whatever it is that he's doing. But the truth is him being the #1 person, no matter where he goes, as long as he's employed by that company, he'll never be paid what he's worth. And so that's another reason that I'm in network marketing. I'm in JMG because of the relationship I have with this company, because of the leadership that I know is feeding this company. I've known Paul since the mid-90s, and ever since I've met him, he's been a guy that's been on the movement. I met him in the beginning of him pushing a movement, and watched him make that movement move, you know. And of course, obstacles come. He has people that stand him up. He has people that don't do what they say they're going to do. He tells a story about him going all from here in Minnesota all the way to Chicago, Illinois, to do a meeting for a group of people. God called him up, man, you can come out here. I have a room full of people. He get out there. Not only is a room full of people not there, the guy that was supposed to be putting it together never did show up. Did that stop him? No, he kept moving. He kept moving. That's the type of person that we have that's driving our business. There's companies, multi-level marketing companies that go up and down every day, just like other small businesses go up and down every day. We're in this company, and we've been in this company since 2008, and we're still here today. So that's 5 years right there. That 5 years is the statistic number that they say in business is really kind of basically the threshold. They say when you get in business, it's at least 5 years before you start to see a profit. Therefore, in between that 1 and that 5, that business is still acceptable to going up or going down. We've hit that threshold. We're still here, while other companies have come up and down within that time. So I know that what we're doing, that the work and the time that we put into a company will not be in vain. So that's the reason I'm in JMG, because I can go somewhere else and do something, but I'm not with people that I know. I don't know that those people have my best interest in mind and everything like I have right here in JMG. And that's something that we all have right here. You know, we're not able to go over to another company and sit and talk with the owner of the company. We're not able to go to another company and be able to call upon the #1 income earner. We don't have that there. That's an asset for us here in JMG. We have everything that it takes to have our movements moving just like Paulie gets up and move and how he sparked his movements. But we have to move ourselves first. We have to get up. We have to do, just like I said last Saturday. After Saturday training, it's not like, okay, I put in my time for the day. Now I'm gonna go chill. I'm going to the show, I'm going whatever. I mean, it's okay if you plan those things from time to time, but let's do some work. Let's get motivated within a Saturday. You motivated yourself enough to get up and come in here and listen to me and William for a little bit of time, then motivate yourself to make it worth a while. Because if you're just coming here to listen to us, I mean, what are you truly going to get out of that if you don't go do the work afterwards? Make it all make sense. Saturday noon, at least before you decide to go out and kick it, get 3 or 4 contacts that you can call back on Sunday and invite for the conference call. Use the time that we have. But with that, I just want to let you know, hey, it's here, we can do it. And if you have not ever seen a movement in your downline, it's something that's incredible to watch. It's something that's incredible to see. Like I said, the first thing you do every time you touch a computer, you want to see what's happening now. You want to look at that back office. Man, what's there now? It's amazing how it just starts to grow and grow. You start looking at it and you read the names and you know all these names, and then you start looking at it like, I don't know who that is. And then, man, I don't know none of these people. And you're getting paid for it. Let's start a movement. Not only for ourselves, which is number one, but also for the team that we are. We've been coming, we have a lot that are assets to us right now. We go to these meetings, our Tuesday night meetings, and we look at other meetings. Those people are paying to get in those meetings as representatives. We don't have to pay anything to get into our meeting. We don't have to pay anything for these trainings. Not all companies do trainings and take and put forth the time to train the people. They will sign you up and they're like, okay, peace, be prosperous. I'll see you at the top or from the top, like Les Brown would say, you know. And it's on you to get there. Either you do or you don't. We have a lot in our company. We have everything that it takes. We have the best company out there, hands down. Now it's just up to us to move ourselves and continue to make this company flourish. It's up to us to make sure that we get what we desire out of life. It's up to us to do our part on this team and make everything easier for everyone else. That game that I talked about with Michael Jordan, they lost that game. 135 to 129 in overtime. They lost. He still scored over a third of the team's points in that game. But evidently, somewhere in there, in that equation of the team that was on the court that night, there were others that did not pick up and help out where they needed to help out. 135 to 129, what is that? That's like 6 points. That's 3 baskets. There was somebody that dropped the ball and didn't do, whether it was a block, whether it was a rebound, whether it was a steal, taking a charge. There was something that somebody could have done to help him out that night to be victorious. And so I really do. I'm passionate about my friends and people. I'm a team player. And the truth about me is I'll go through the fire with you, as long as I know you'll go through the fire with me. Now, that's not how Jesus is, but hey, I'm Jason. And I'm a team player, but I really do. I see Paul Jones working as hard as he does. I see what I see William Lockett, and sometimes I think William runs a chemical dependency program and still found time to become the #1 income earner in our company. You know? Then I look at that and I'll be like, man, what are you doing, brother? In the mirror, you know? It's like, come on. There's got to be some more that you can do right now. If you have a man that runs a chemical dependency program and can still find the time to become the #1 income earner in our company, that lets you know it can be done. Why? Because all of his time is not committed to just JMG alone. And so then you find other people who have a job, I don't care where it's at, Target or whatever else, and they talk about they don't have the time. Get out of here. Go somewhere else with that excuse. But we just have to move ourselves. 9 to 5 is their time. 5 to 9 is your time. What you do in that 5 to 9 is going to determine how long you're going to stay in that 9 to 5. It's all up to us. Nobody can make you move your feet but yourself. All right? So with that, I'm going to bring up our man of the hour, our #1 income earner, and the man that has blazed the road for us just to let us know that it is capable of being done. Whether you have a little bit of time or whether you have a lot of time, you can do it. Just have to start a movement by moving yourself. With that, I'm bringing up our ESD, William Lockett.
I'll give it up to Jay Lee. A couple of key points that he touched on. One, I don't know if you guys remember that video that Paulie played where they was on a hill and the guy just started dancing, people were looking at him and laughing at him, and then all of a sudden a few more people went over there and started joining in dancing, and then before long they had a big crowd. And what sparked it was, even though he looked crazy and silly at first, was that his passion became contagious and other people got infected with it. That's how your business is. People looking at you, saying you crazy. You're looking at yourself and you're seeing people, canceling, people, not showing up, people coming and not signing up, and you're saying, wow, am I crazy? But just keep dancing. Just keep dancing. And before long, you'll become contagious to other people and they get infected. And then he also said that, what are you willing to change in order to spark movement in your business? That's huge. Because I don't get to be where I'm at in this company by just resting on the fact of who I am. Because when I got involved with this business, I didn't have the knowledge and experience in this industry. So I had to look at myself and I had to change some things about myself. And so that's huge. And so let go of the little to get your much. And just thinking about, the experiences that I've gone through in my life, I believe that my anointing is about faith. It's about belief. Because to go from where I used to be to where I'm at today, it was all driven by the faith and belief that I could be who I am. And that's what led me, that's what drives me. So when I look at situations and I, encounter obstacles in life, I've learned not to get discouraged. I've learned that that's an opportunity for me to grow in faith. It's an opportunity for me to release my faith. And when you release your faith, it means that you're exercising your faith. Just like in the natural, when you're working out, your body gets stronger by the resistance of the weight, right? So as you're working out, it's the resistance that makes you stronger. So therefore, it's the same in business. It's the resistance that makes you stronger. See, if you're believing to be successful and wealthy in the area, then you have to learn how to overcome and conquer those objections, because if you don't learn, then when they come, you begin to get discouraged, you begin to get fretful, you begin to, question and doubt, and you begin to want to quit. But when you go through some things, that's why I said success is the process. And where you're at in your business right now, you're going through the process. So afraid of the fact that you went there and they didn't show up, you had a nice breakfast. you know, be glad, you know, because you'll do that. That's part of the business. That's part of the process. But how many people, you know, will go through a scenario like that, you know, invite somebody and they don't show up and get discouraged and say, man, this ain't working. How many people have you talked to about getting 3 people, and they went and talked to 3 people, and every one of those 3 people told them no, and then they came back to you and told you, well, I talked to everybody, and it just ain't gonna work for me. You know, listen to the word. They talk to everybody. They talk to 3 people. Is that everybody? No. You know, so to me, it's like we're all creating a testimony. And the only way that you create your testimony is to go through the test. So there's somebody else out there that is going to benefit from your story. So don't get discouraged going through the process. Just continue to build your story. So Genesis 22. Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, here I am. Then he said, take now your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I should tell you. So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and he split the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place of which God had told him. So he had some instructions. At first he didn't know. He just was instructed to go. He didn't tell specifically where the mountain was, which mountain, but he just believed and went by faith. Then on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place afar off. And Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey. The lad and I will go yonder and worship, and we will come back to you. So he believed that when he would go, that he would come back, the both of them. So Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and the 2 of them went together. But Isaac spoke to Abraham his father, said, my father. And he said, here I am, my son. See, I kept reading this, here I am. See, Abraham was in the zone. You know, he was focused. You know, he was like ready. He made himself available. He's like, here I am. You know, it's like he just had a tunnel vision and he couldn't hear nothing, see nothing because he was working on something. You know, he was working on his faith and his belief in his relationship with God. Then he said, look, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering? Then Abraham said, my son, go provide for him. God will provide for himself the lamb for burnt offering. So the 2 of them went together. And that also tells me that his son had faith and trust in him. You know, that here he is going with him, and he knows the process. You know, he knows, he's like, well, we got the wood, but where's the sacrifice? Then they came to the place of which God had told him. And Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order. And he bound Isaac his son. Now at that point, I'm like, hold on. Why are you tying me up? And laid him on the altar. Hold on, why I gotta lay here? Upon the wood, and Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. Now, at what point did his son begin to say, hold on, we got the wood, we don't have the lamb, you tie me up, you place me on the altar where the lamb's supposed to be. At what point do I question and doubt the process here? But the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I am. Like I said, he was locked in that zone. And he said, do not lay your hand on the lad or do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. And to relate this to business, I see this as him being focused. You know, he's going through the process. He's trusting and believing. Not knowing, but just trusting and believing that it's going to work out. You see, that is my testament to being in business. See, I didn't know how, but I just continued to trust and believe. And as Jay Lee was talking about that process, you know, that 1 to 5 years, you know, sitting there thinking that was about the turning point in my business at the Micah House. You know, going through, you know, foreclosures, going through all kinds of turmoil in my personal life, but just continue to trust and believe that it was going to work out. Where a lot of folks said, man, why don't you just quit? Why don't you just use your degree? Why don't you get you a job? But I was focused and I was zeroed in on the vision, on the goal. And so therefore, once I turn that corner, all of a sudden things begin to come together. And like I've always explained in this business, even if it takes you 5 years to build your business, you're only out $1,800. That's if you just pay for the services for the 5 years. But you don't go from 0 to 5,000 without making money in the process. But too often people start and they quit. That's why, my viewpoint is always about you, to strengthen you from the inside out, to insulate you from, the cares of this world, to insulate you from the problems that other people will try to put on you, to insulate you from the other doubts and disbelief that people will try to put on you. That's why Jay Lee said it's really about your why. What gets you up in the morning? What motivates you? What is your vision? What is your goal? And that's what you stay focused on. That's what you're working towards, regardless of what it may feel like today, regardless of what happened yesterday. Every morning you wake up, you have to wake up with a renewed mind and a renewed spirit. You have to wake up with renewed excitement about your business, that this is the day. This could be that day that I've been working towards. This could be the day that I meet that one individual that can spark some excitement and growth in my business. But this day, I'm willing to do my part, to open up my mouth to speak to another person, so that I have that opportunity and that potential to get that one person I'm looking for. Then Abraham lifted his eyes and looked, and there behind him was a ram caught in the thicket by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for a burnt offering instead of his son. See, I'm always looking for the ram in the bush. Always. No matter what I'm going through, I'm looking for the ram in the bush. Had a situation this week, I just hired some new people, so the system we had in place was adequate for the number of staff I had. I'm talking about my internet service. Hired some more people on the wireless. All of a sudden, the system kept crashing. So I'm like, calling my carrier. I need to get a stronger line in here. They're telling me 15 days. And I'm sitting like, okay, well, I don't want to wait 15 days. And my new program director, he comes from the state. He's like, well, you need to call them up and yell at them and tell them this and tell them that. And I'm like, that's not my approach. That's not my style. I make it known what it is I want, and I'll let you know that I'm not happy with the time frame that you're telling me. And then I'm just going to believe that we're going to be able to get it done sooner. So he, kind of provoked me. So I called them. As I was calling them, they was calling me. Mr. Lockett, we have a technician in the neighborhood. He's coming out. And so I just had to tell the gentleman, I said, you know what? You just have to learn how to be patient. See, screaming and yelling and cussing folks out isn't always the best approach. And he was like, you know what? I just have to learn how to be more patient. I believe that's why God sent me here, so that I can learn patience, because I see that it works. Because I'm not going to get stressed out about it. Why embarrass yourself and then have to come back and apologize later on? See, it was already being worked out. So if I would have picked up their phone and just cussed them out, and they would have been like, is this Pastor Lockett? Isn't the Micah House a faith-based program? But God had already worked it out, and the ram was already in the bush, and so they were already out and on their way to fix the problem. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of the place, the Lord will provide. As it is said to this day, in the mouth of the Lord, it shall be provided. See, we have to be willing to do our part. We have to be committed to the process. And then as we're going through the process, doing our part, we just have to trust and believe that it's going to work out. Like I was telling Fred, see, that's a seed. Even though he went there, they didn't show up. Yes, you're disappointed, but you learn. But you keep moving. You keep moving. You keep talking. You keep building. Why? Because it's your future that you're working towards. It's your goals and your dreams. You begin to discover and learn about people. That's probably the greatest things that I've learned since being in this company, in this business, is about people. You know, and just like in my treatment setting, you know, there's characteristics of different people. You begin to learn the characteristics. So when you meet people and they display the same characteristic, then you can not prejudge them, but you become a good judge of character. Because if it quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, guess what?
It's a duck.
It's a duck. So therefore, when you're talking to people and they give you the same conversation as those people that didn't show up, the people that did quit, the people that aren't committed, then you begin to see that same characteristic. And the reason why that's important is because you don't want to ever hinge your future on somebody that you know is a no-show. Because then it's not giving you a true depiction of what it is that you're working for. So what I mean by that is if you place so much value on an individual that's a duck, then you know that they're a duck. You're not trying to turn them into an eagle. They're a duck. So what you have to do is that you just have to keep moving and keep looking for the eagle. But if you put so much value and trust in the duck and you thinking it's an eagle, then you begin to just swap yourself. You begin to walk around picking up stuff off the ground rather than beginning to fly and soar like an eagle. So never put so much trust and value in someone that it doesn't have the capabilities nor the desire. So at the end of the day, you're looking for a person like yourself. You're looking to copy yourselves. You're committed. You're faithful to come to the trainings. You're faithful to come to the meetings. So therefore, you're looking for somebody that has the same values as you do. So interview people. And don't be so eager to sign somebody up. That's why last week I said shift the focus from signing somebody up to just inviting people. Because you want to fill them out. You're the employer. It's your business. So you want to interview and qualify them. And so if they don't pan out, you don't get discouraged because you just discovered that that's not the person you're looking for. But if you have an employee mindset and you're looking for somebody else to do the work for you, and then they disappoint you, then you begin to take that employee standpoint and say, oh, this isn't for me, this doesn't work. Because really, the truth is they're not willing to do the work as an employee. An employee-minded individual is looking for somebody else to put everything in place and for them just to plug into so they can just work their hours and receive their paycheck. But as an entrepreneur, if you don't produce, it is your business, you don't eat. But I like to eat well. You know, so therefore, I've always been willing to put the work in. Because, as I said last week, if it's to be, it's up to me. So therefore, I understand and I have to take personal responsibility and ownership for my business. Because I can't live on whatever, what was it? I think $800 something a month for my Social Security. I can't live on that. So I am my 401k plan. So therefore, I must be willing to invest myself. And as I said in the beginning, whatever you're committed to, whatever you're passionate about, is what you're willing to devote and commit time to. So I'm passionate, I'm committed to my future. So even though I have a full-time business that is very demanding, I still make time for my J&G business because it is a part of me. So therefore, I'm not in JMG. JMG is in me. So wherever I go, there is my business. So through the course of my day, I don't have to shift gears. So, oh, I have my Micah House hat on, and then I have to shift gears and put my JMG business hat on. They're connected. So as I'm meeting people, I introduce the business. So it's not like I have to say, oh man, I have to go to work with JMG now. No, I'm always working JMG, regardless, no matter where I'm at and what I'm doing. Then the angel of the Lord called Abraham a second time out of heaven and said, by myself I have sworn, says the Lord, because you have done this thing and have not withheld your son, your only son. Blessing I will bless you, multiplying I will multiply your descendants as the stars of heaven, as the sand which is on the seashore. and your descendants shall possess the gate of their enemies. So therefore, because he was willing to go through the process, God promoted him. So remember, if you know the story, familiar with the story, that Isaac was his only son. And remember, he was what, 99 when he had his first child? But before he had that one child, God had promised him that he was going to be the father of many. So here at 99, he's like, how am I going to be the father of many? I ain't got one. So then what happened? He and his wife, they went, Sarah, and tried to take control of it, and they had an Ishmael. Okay? So then they tried to go ahead and do the job and fulfill what God had promised them. But that wasn't what God told them. So sometimes we have to be patient. It's in being patient that you go through the process that qualifies you for the next level. That's why you never want to, negate the process, because then you don't learn the information that you need in order to go to the next level, because you may fight a giant on the next level that you're not prepared for because you didn't go through the process. That's like you see people that win the lottery. All of these hundreds of millions of dollars, and then, within a short period of time, they broke again. Right. Why? Because they didn't go through the process of earning that money through the process. And so when they got it, they didn't know what to do with it. So part of what we do is to educate people and train people on personal finances. Mm-hmm. Part of what we do is to educate and train and expand people personally, so that when the blessings do come, now you know what to do with them, rather than just being the rich fool with a lot of money. So in your seed, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. And I also look at the fact that when I was going through my process of building the Micah house, I had actually started years before, because it's a continual journey and process. So prior to me getting into that business, I had gone through some other businesses that I struggled. So I had a clothing store that didn't work. I had a t-shirt business that didn't work. I had a remodeling business, that didn't work. Real estate business that didn't work. But every one of those businesses was preparation for what I did and what I do today. So that's why I'm a firm believer that you fail your way to success, but you're not a failure unless you quit. That's right. Because it's learning stages. So when I was struggling in my prior businesses, and I learned how to have faith and trust that, bills are still going to get met. When I got into the Micah house and opened up the doors, and I had a full staff, and only had one client. And they didn't want to send no more clients. So then I had to have the faith and trust and believe that it was going to be all right regardless. And so therefore, I just stayed the course. And as a result of that, now it is what it is today, and the blessings are there. But if I would have looked at like, wow, I got one client, they don't want to send no more clients. At that time, I had probably about 8 people on staff that, gave up other jobs to come there, and they're dependent on me to have a check. So I'm sitting like, okay, Lord, I remember, how you delivered that bear. I remember how you delivered that lion into my hand. So how dare this uncircumcised Philistine, try to defy the true living God? That's how I talk to myself. That's how I motivate myself. Those are the conversations. So when I go over scripture means something to me. Mm-hmm. Because I begin to discover the power in them. And until I realize truly my covenant relationship and the power of scripture, then it was me trying to Sarah and Abraham trying to make it happen within my own means, right? But then when we do that, what happens? We end up taking some shortcuts, making some mistakes, but then when you learn to trust and lean on God, then that's when I begin to look for the ram in the bush. You know, so this scripture means a lot to me. You know, I'm always looking for the ram. So I'm gonna follow. Just send me. Here I am, Lord. You know, send me.
Right.
But then there's liberty in that, because you realize that it's not all on you. You just have to be at the right place. That's your assignment. That's your responsibility, to be at your right set place, so that when God provides, you're in that place so that you can receive what it is you need in order to fulfill your purpose. So that's why I never get discouraged. You know, that's why people look at me like, man, you always smiling. That's because I realize that I'm not in control. It's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to believe that it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
My responsibility is to have the confidence and the trust and the faith in who it is that I serve. The rest is up to him. So therefore, I learned to have the faith and trust. And I don't limit him. I don't put a limit and cap on him. You know, that's why I said, you know what? I can see and I can believe $1 million a month through my J&G business.
Mm-hmm.
Not just so that I can buy more things, but because I want to be able to do more for more people.
Right.
So therefore, after I release that faith in that belief, then I have to be willing to do some work. See, I'm not one to just sit back and fantasize and say, well, I believe that I can live in $1 million home, and then don't go out and do the work that is necessary in order to make that a reality. So therefore, it's a combination of the faith and the belief. Then you have to combine that with your work. So what are you holding on to that God is requiring of you to let go so that he can give more to you? Are you holding on to something that's not producing? That's why that point that Jay Lee brought out, what are you willing to change about you in order to spark some movement, spark some growth in your business? Are you holding on to something, you know, like that woman that said that, oh, I just had a major repair on my car. Well, is she holding on to that, you know, well, I need to save this money here in case my car breaks down again? You're saying, rather than saying, well, this isn't enough, this car is going to continue to have issues, so therefore I need to release some faith and, you know, at least position myself to be in a position so that I have the possibility of being able to buy a better car, being able to have money stored up in case the car breaks down again, which I know is going to happen? Or am I going to focus on the fact that I have lack, that I don't have enough? You know, just like the widow woman. You know, are you going to say, well, I don't have nothing? But then the man of God said, well, what do you have in your house? You know, I just have a couple of jars and a little bit of oil. Well, she had what she needed in order to start the process. Mm-hmm. But she didn't see it. But then again, God takes the little in order to create much. Just like the 2 fish and the 5 loaves. You know, he takes the little, but you have to be willing to release that little in order to receive the much. So what little are you holding on to? Is it a little bit of false pride that you're afraid to talk to somebody? Is it a little bit of, you know, conversation and being willing to risk some embarrassment? You know, it's more embarrassing not being able to provide than it is for somebody to tell you no. Right. But we allow that little, you know, word no, you know, to discourage us from a lot of things. You have to learn to conquer that. You know what? I'm so confident about my business, so I'm willing to talk to whoever is within listening distance. I don't care. I'm not afraid of your no. You know, but what if they say yes? You see how the no can trick you and keep you from that? See, in sales, they tell you there's just so many no's you got to go through in order to get yeses. So if you limit your, you know, interaction because you're afraid of that word, then you cut down on the, you know, the likelihood of success. So what I've learned, because I used to, you know, one of them summer jobs, you know, answer one of them ads, do encyclopedia sales, right? Go door to door. So I said, you know what? I got to go through the many no's as fast as I can in order to get to my yeses. So if somebody tells you no, thank you. Move on to the next one. No, thank you. You know, almost like tell me no, tell me no, tell me no, so I can get to my yes. But then you be moving so fast, somebody say yes, and you think they're gonna say no.
Right.
So oh, you said yes. That's what I said. Don't try to sign people up. Just invite them. Invite them. Because when you're going through that process of trying to sign somebody up, then you put them in a situation where, man, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. But if you just invite them to a meeting, they come out and they're in the atmosphere. That's why, we want to have the rooms packed, because that creates excitement. So then people seeing other people signing up, people seeing other people, the caliber of people that we have, mixed crowds in the room. Like, man, I know so-and-so in this business. Oh man, I better get in this business. It creates a different atmosphere. But don't be afraid of somebody telling you no. Luke 19, now as they heard these things, he spoke another parable, because he was near Jerusalem, because they thought the kingdom of God would appear immediately. Therefore he said, a certain nobleman went to a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return. So he called 10 of his servants, delivered to them 10 minas, and said to them, do business till I come. But his citizens hated him and sent a delegation after him, saying, we will not have this man to reign over us. And so it was that when he had returned, having received the kingdom, he then commanded these servants to him he had given the money, to be called to him, that he might know how much every man had gained by trade. Then came the first, saying, Master, your mina has earned 10 minas. And he said to him, well done, good servant, because you were faithful in a very little, have authority over 10 cities. And the second came, saying, Master, your mina has earned 5 minas. Likewise, he said to him, you also be over 5 cities. Then another came, saying, Master, here is your mina, which I have kept put away in a handkerchief. For I feared you, because you are an austere man. You collect what you do not deposit, and reap what you did not sow. And he said to him, out of your own mouth I will judge you, you wicked servant. You knew that I was an austere man, collecting what I did not deposit, and reaping what I did not sow. Why then did you not put my money in the bank, that at my coming I might have collected it with interest? And he said to those who stood by, take the mina from him, and give it to him who has 10 minas. But they said to him, Master, he has 10 minas. For I say to you, that to everyone who was given, who will be given, and from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. But bring here those enemies of mine, who did not want me to reign over them, and slay them before me. What can we gather from this parable? The master wanted to bless his people. Too often we come in contact with the individuals that have the mindset of the one that had the one minded that hid it in the handkerchief. And then what begins to happen is that they have an entitlement mentality. They're dependent on somebody else to provide for them. So the one that went and multiplied it to 10 and 5, they had the mindset as an entrepreneur. They kept doing business. They were interacting. They were engaging. And they increased what they had. Rather than the one that just went and hid it, that didn't do anything with it out of fear. I know that you to be an austere man and collect what you have it, deposit. Well, to me, that's like an entitlement mentality. And we come in contact with that mindset more often than not. That's why you talk about, not to pick on North Minneapolis, but you see it. You see it where, they expecting somebody else to give them something. I'm talking about not North Minneapolis people, I'm talking about people in general, to have that spirit, to have that mindset, where they're expecting somebody to do something for them. Well, we're living now in a time where we can take control. Like JD said, this is 50 years after the march, you know, but we don't have to be in bondage like we were in slavery days because mentally so many folks are enslaved mentally. Mm-hmm. You know, you see them where they don't prepare themselves. You know, they don't get the education. You know, they go to a job and still sagging their pants. Mm-hmm. You know, I had a young man that came to me, called me constantly, wanted to do some maintenance work. He's from Jamaica. So I said, okay, well, I'll go ahead and give you a shot. You know, he showed me his iPad where he had some work done, you know, in his pictures with mixed pictures of his girlfriend, you know, and these shorty shorts, and I'm scrolling through these pictures, and I'm like, hold on, man, you know, if you're gonna present something to somebody, you know, at least prepare it so that you don't have all this personal stuff in there. Right. He brings her to the interview, she's doing all the talking, and I'm sitting like, okay, is she gonna hold your hand the whole time? Am I hiring her or am I hiring you? So I went ahead and gave him a start. He showed up late the first day. Second day, he showed up late. The third day, he didn't show up until after 1 o'clock. So then I said, you're done. Wrote him a check, you know, for the days that he had worked. And so I go in yesterday, and he wants to talk to me, of course. He says, what happened? I'm like, man, I hired you to do a job, and I expected you to be here on time. Then he started giving me a list of excuses. Well, I don't know the city. I'm not from here. I'm dependent on other people, you know, to drop me off. I said, but that wasn't our agreement when I hired you. You told me that you could get here on time. So you showed up 5 minutes late the first day, 15 minutes the second day, and then hours the third day. And I'm saying like, no, I don't function like that. I depend on you to be here at a certain time, and that's what I pay you to do. Well, it's better late than never, right? Man. See, I understand the culture of Jamaica, right? You know, slow and easy, man. No, you in America, buddy. No, it ain't better late than never. Now you ain't never gonna get another dime for me. But I'm saying like that is the attitude of some people. You know, at least I showed up. You ought to be happy that I even showed up. No, that's a poverty mindset. He said, well, what if you was in Jamaica and you had to be somewhere on time? I said, no matter where I'm at, even if I was in Jamaica, I would make sure that I went through the process to get there on time. So I would make preparation, whether that is to, you know, schedule a taxi to get there, whether that's to take a bus, whether I had to walk, whatever I had to do in order to get to where I needed to be when I needed to be there. So I don't subscribe to those excuses. You know, to me, I showed y'all that poem last week about excuses, right? So people can find a million excuses why not to do something. But just find one good reason. Just one good reason why to do something that is going to impact and better your life. So he gave them each one equally. So they all had equal access. They all had the opportunity and the potential to produce. It was just a matter of what they did with that opportunity. The one he increased to 10, the other one increased to 5, and then the other one didn't do anything with it. But they all had equal access. They all had the same opportunity. Just like we all had the same opportunity through this business. Mm-hmm. Never allow yourself knowing anyone else to tell you, oh, because that's William Locke, because that's Paul Jones. No, that's nothing but a lie. You have the same equal access. Because he is Paul Jones, when he joined that company, he had to start at the same level that everybody else did. And he had to go through the process. He had to reinvent himself. He had to spark off that movement in order to grow so fast in that company in order to get to the level that he was at. The same like I had to do. I signed up just like every one of you signed up. But then, going back to that slide that Jay Lee showed, what are you willing to do in order to spark some movement and growth in your business? That's what I had to do. I had to look at myself and say, man, I see so-and-so business growing, but mine ain't growing. What do I need to change about me? And then once I began that journey of self-development is what helped me to become even better than what I was, because I was willing to change some things. See, again, going back on what JD said, you know, to do the same thing over and over again, expect different results, that's insanity. I'm not going to self-inflict anything on you. I'm a reasonable enough man to say, if something's not working, what do I need to change about me? See, I'm big on personal responsibility. See, I took responsibility for that young man not showing up on time and me depending on him to do a job. So therefore, I had to let him go. Okay, I've learned something about you. Now, because of who I am, now I have to go in there and do some painting, you know, probably tomorrow, and then bring the clothes. I'm going to do it today. But I'll go in there and I'll paint up so that I can still stay on track. Because I take responsibility for the fact that I allowed him to waste my time. But the job still needs to get done. He gave each one of them the same amount of time. So not only did they have equal access, but they also had the same time frame. But somebody came back with an excuse. Some wouldn't produce. There's no time limit on what we do. You know, that's why we want to encourage you to stay encouraged. Because there is no, well, there is. We all gotta, you know, set time when we gotta check out of here. Right. You know, but until then, until, you know, the master comes, until the kingdom comes, we still have the process of time. We all have 24 hours in a day. True? True. My day's no longer, in fact, I was saying yesterday, like, wow, I wish, you know, I could increase the amount of days in the week and the hours of a day, because there's so much that I have to do, you know, with kids and business and, you know, family members, you know, being ill. You know, there's so much I have to do in the course of a day that I'll look up and I'm like, wow, I didn't get this done. I didn't get that done. You know, but then I said, okay, well, I just have to get at it tomorrow. But we all have the same 24 hours in every day. Right. Wealthy people, billionaires, have the same 24 hours in every day. It's just a matter of what they do versus what others do that show productivity and increase in their day versus those that don't have it. You know, it's not a matter of, oh, well, you know, the time of the meeting is the time my favorite show comes on. The people they're watching on TV is already paid. They already taped that show long ago. They already cashed that check. But how many people allow themselves to be robbed of time because they're committed to something that's not producing? Based on their productivity, he blessed them accordingly. You know, so you have to go through the process. You have to invite people. You have to show the presentation. You know, you have to come to the trainings, come to the meetings, get the information, get on the conference calls. You know, that's why I said that's how I became so versed in the presentation, is because I was on the conference calls all the time, at the presentations all the time. I mean, y'all see me, it's rarely that I miss a meeting. Right. I'm always there. Why? Because I made a commitment. Not that I don't have other activities that come up at those time frames, or there's other things that I could be doing. It's that I tailored the rest of my life around my commitment. That's just how I'm cut. Because if I put something as a priority, then I tailor everything else around it because that's my priority. And anyone that knows me knows that I'm not going to compromise on my priorities. Now, you just want to understand, because I got to get it in, because I'm committed, because I understand that it's a process. Even though, you know, I see it that it should be at a higher level, I mean, I should be riding around in a Bentley right now. You know, this company should be over $5 million a month. but we're not there. So we still got more work. So now is not the time to sit back and rest. Now is the time to work. See, we have to continue to do work while it's daylight, as the word says.
Right.
And to me, what that daylight represents, so long as we still got life, we still got more work to do. Because if your spirit, your heart, your passion is to truly help people, and we have something that can help people, then regardless of what come out of people's mouth, we still have an obligation to expose them to the business. That's why I said shift the focus from signing people up to exposing people to the information. I think that would relieve some pressure off of you, as well as it's more of putting people in front of the information and allowing them to get all of the information rather than you trying to sign somebody up, that you're just running into. And they just give you that, that canned response of, oh no, that's not for me, I'm not interested. But they're saying no to something they really don't know, they're not familiar with.
Right.
So it's always about us just getting the information to the people. Because once they get the information, then it's off of us. They can't come back to you later on and say, well, you didn't tell me. No, I did. You just couldn't see it at the time. But you just expose it and keep moving. So God has given each and every one of us a measure of faith. Like this parable of Luke, where the master gave each one a midas, this parable is speaking of faith. We all have it, but what are we doing with it? Some rejected it completely, and the word says, slay them. But those that increased their midas or faith were blessed accordingly. I believe that that's what my anointing is, about faith in business, which also relates to faith in life. So I can trust and I can believe for greater. So if I'm not seeing and experiencing greater now, that doesn't diminish or change my faith. Because I understand, just like the Hebrew boys, the fact that they had faith didn't stop them from being thrown in the fiery furnace, but the fact that they had faith brought them through the fiery furnace. So therefore, when, adversity, presents its ugly head, I don't begin to, hide my, gifts and talents. I begin to release my faith, because then that's what gives me the confidence to go through whatever. Because the key word is through. Because when you're going through something, that means you're going towards something, right?
That's right.
But when you're going through something, isn't the time to stop. Isn't the time to stop, because then you don't make it through. You stop. You're still there. You're still stuck in whatever that is you're going through.
Right.
That's why the name of my company is called Victory Through Faith. Because that is my life testament. Is that I dare to believe that he is who he says he is, and that he's capable of doing that's what he said he would do. So therefore, I've learned, I don't just play that name and claim. I've learned to say, you know what? I trust and believe that that's the life that God has created me to live. So I had the faith to believe for more. Then I also had the willingness to do the work to get the more. Not just to say, well, I'm just going to believe that God is going to supernaturally increase my bank account. If God wanted me to have that car, he would bless me with that car. He would put it on somebody's heart to give me that car. Come on now. No, that's that spooky thing. No, I trust and believe that God has given me the gifts and the talents to go out and do the work to produce the fruit of that car.
Right.
The one that did nothing with his midas or faith, the master said, take that which was given to him and give it to the one that had many. God wants us to let us go, want us to let go of what's committed to embrace the unlimited possibilities of what can be, but by faith. Again, what are we holding on to? That is like a security blanket that makes us feel comfortable and safe, that we need to release in order to receive more. That's like this cup of water right here. If this cup was full and I just set it out and just didn't touch it, it'll eventually evaporate. But if this cup is full and I begin to drink it, and I'm still thirsty, I can just pour more water in here. So therefore, if your cup is full and you don't pour none of it out, you don't have the capacity to receive more. So that's why it's really about giving. Give the information away. Give the opportunity away so that you can be in position to receive more. But if you just hold on to it and you're not drinking of it, you're not sharing it, then you don't have room, no more room to receive any more. So be like, a sponge, absorbing, the information. Then bring yourself out and share with other people so that other people can receive it, partake of it. Then you become revitalized again so that you can receive more. That's all we're doing is just sharing it. So let go of the little so you can get the much. That's what it's about. I'm glad Brother JD brought the board in today. I've been missing the board. Because I love drawing because it's just this simple. So we talk about the 3 people. But we want 3 people just like yourselves. 3 people that are committed. So if you have to go through 50, 100 people to get 3 people, is what you have to go through to get 3 people like yourself. But again, be out there recruiting. Don't just be thinking that you need 3 good people, but you're not talking to those people. Because all we need to do is this. So this could be a week, a month, a year. So if you do 1 level a month, a week, a year, still the same 7 years is going to go by, whether you do anything or not. So the same process of time is going to go by. Why not put yourself in a position so at least you have the potential of something greater, rather than like Jay Lee was talking about, working 9 to 5, where you're going to have the same outcome year after year after year, and you come to the conclusion that it's just not enough. But are you willing to commit? Now, we don't want it. We don't subscribe to the 7-year plan. No. We subscribe to the 7-week plan. But you have to have the commitment of 7 years, but then you have to have the work ethic to do it within 7 weeks. Because it takes the same process. But we just have to get busy and spark that movement off ourselves. So like I said, you're looking for individuals like yourself that want more, that are willing to commit. So last week we had, actually I think she's a rep, right? Patricia? Did she already sign up in the business? Okay, she's a rep, but she's never been to any of the training to learn or know that we don't ask questions during the presentation. So just a word of advice, if you have reps coming into business that don't come to training, then let them know that, during the presentation is the time to ask questions. If you got questions, either come to training or ask them after the presentation. And I think Jay Lee handled it very well, but it was a distraction. To me, she was trying to trip him up, and she's a rep. She asked a question she already knew the answer to. Right. But like I said, he handled it very well. But again, you want individuals like yourself that are going to come to the presentations, are going to get on the conference calls, are going to come to the trainings, okay? And so this coming Tuesday, let's go out there and recruit some people. You know, the numbers have been coming up on our Tuesday meetings. You know, let's continue to invite people. Those folks that got signed up last week, let's encourage them to come and bring their guests. And then that's what begins to spark off that growth in that movement, okay? Because we're not here as a social club. You know, I love y'all and enjoy being around y'all, you know, but we're here as business owners. We're here to make money. We're here to change people's lives. You know, so let's go out there and empty ourselves out and speak to more people and invite more people. And we'll see that growth and movement. You know, so I'm in agreement with Brother Jay Lee. We've crossed that 5-year threshold. Now is the season of increase. Now is our season of growth. Now is our season of prosperity. Now our actions have to line up with what we confess and what we believe. So you have the rest of the day, go out there and invite folks. Let's get people lined up for Tuesday. Make sure we get them on tomorrow night's conference call. And let's have fun and let's make some money. You know, God bless.